All right, ready? Jordan?
Yes, we're ready.
All right, good afternoon. This is in response to many media outlets asking for updates on a number of shootings we've had since the holiday, since Thursday. We're going to talk briefly about some of these incidents, and I'm going to be providing you with photos. Are we going to put the photos up? They're going to light up the screens? Can we pause for 1 second? I want to make sure the screens are up. Let's just pause here, and we'll come back at it. While we're waiting on our tech, which I thought we would have prepared for before I got down here, let's do an introduction so everybody knows who's up here.
Sincere Al-Talay, legal liaison for Ceasefire Detroit. Bishop Daryl Harris, faith-based coordinator for Ceasefire Detroit.
Cheryl Jones, Director.
Ryan Ferguson, Board of Police Commissioner, Chairperson.
Charles Fitzgerald, Assistant Chief, Enforcement Operations.
Michael McGinnis, Commander, Major Crimes.
Tiffany Stewart, Deputy Chief, Eastern Operations. Donna McCord, Captain, Homicide.
All right, once again, in a moment, the photos will be up for you to see. We'll be asking for the media's help in identifying some of these suspects. But again, this is in response to many media outlets asking for updates on a number of violent incidents we've had since Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving and since Thanksgiving. I will discuss a few of these cases with you. Certainly they are very serious concern to us as well as the community, and we'll be once again asking for the community's help in identifying some of these suspects. We're going to talk first about incident on 12:25 a.m. at 12:25 a.m. in the 19,000 block of Van Dyke, where a suspect on Thursday, Thanksgiving, who was an employee at a gas station, I believe it was we'll get to the gas station soon, got into an argument with the victim. The employee of the gas station shot the victim. He has been arrested and charged with homicide, CCW, and felony firearm. The community is very concerned about that particular case, and hopefully we'll have the photo for you momentarily. He is, in fact, in custody, poses no threat to the community, and has been charged. On Sunday, around 2 a.m. at 400 Monroe on the 8th floor of 400 Monroe, a 29-year-old male was fatally shot during an argument. The argument seemed to involve one person's ability to hold the elevator for him, at which time a shot was fired. He was struck and fatally wounded. Again, we will have a picture for you momentarily on that suspect. On Saturday at 10:15 p.m. At Exquisite Events, I'm going to pause here. Is anybody rolling live? You are? Okay, all right. On Saturday at 10:15 p.m. at Exquisite Events in the 19100 block of Joy Road, two 15-year-old males and one 17-year-old was attending a Sweet 16 birthday party. Two of them were shot by unknown suspects, one 15-year-old and one 17-year-old. The suspects were across the street from the location and fired multiple shots and striking the 15-year-old and the 17-year-old. We are looking for that suspect. We do not have a photo for that suspect, but we're asking anybody that was in the area around that time. That's 10:15 p.m. 19,100 block of Joy Road. We're looking for a suspect. We have no description at this point. Anybody that has any recollection of anything that they've seen unusual in that area would be very helpful for us if we could talk to you. On Sunday morning at 5 a.m. in the 16,700 block of Mark Twain, two 16-year-olds were playing with a gun when it went off, hitting one of them and killing the other. Now, this case is very unfortunate, sad, and odd how it came to be. It appears that the kids were at home, 5 in the morning, no parental supervision, playing with this weapon. One of the kids may have tried to take the weapon from the other kid. Shot was fired. It goes through the person or the child's hand that's holding the gun, so it goes into his opposite hand and strikes the person standing in front of him. So through and through, and then ultimately striking our victim, who later died. Again, we're investigating that case, and homicide is working a number of different pieces of that investigation. On Saturday at 12:25 p.m., an 18-year-old male was reported missing. And this case has a lot to do with an animal that perhaps was taken. And this was in the 9200 block of Burt Road. Officers responded to this location on the report that this young person, not a child, 18-year-old young person, was missing. They had been there prior, and apparently there was an attempt to steal a dog at this location. And when they were confronted by the homeowner, the two suspects that attempted to steal the dog fled. Shots were fired, and one of the suspects who tried to steal the dog did not meet up with the second suspect and was declared missing by him and his family. Officers go to the location, do an investigation, and they unfortunately find a deceased near that location, obviously shot and obviously deceased. So we are looking for a suspect in that case. I'm going to bring Commander McGinnis up to talk a little bit about that, and we hope to have a photo for release on that a little bit later. Certainly after any shooting or any spike in shootings, we take a look at everything. We look at the data. We try to see if there's anything that we can do proactively to impact these incidents. We've had two incidents in the past couple days where two young people committed suicide. We've had a number of incidents where conflict and people with guns making poor decisions happen, and certainly the one at the party on 400 Monroe was just absolutely ridiculous. Someone wouldn't hold an elevator door and ultimately was shot. And this is a suspect from the 400 Monroe incident. This is a person of interest. I think I called him a suspect, but he is a person of interest at this point. So if anyone out there has any information on him, we need to talk to him immediately. Again, we have another suspect picture. If we could flip to that one. And this is the 19,000 block of Van Dyke. We have, this is a suspect, James Kelly. And Commander, can you talk about which case this is? We're a little bit discombobulated today.
Good afternoon. This case is in the 19,000 block of Van Dyke. This individual worked at the gas station and was in an altercation with a customer, and he decided to use a firearm to resolve that altercation, which unfortunately was fatal for the victim. The detectives were quickly able to identify him as a suspect, and our apprehension team were able to arrest him and submit a warrant request to the prosecutor's office, who did in fact charge him with murder, and he is in custody.
We highlight this case because we've received a lot of inquiries from the media as well as from the community whether or not this suspect was still at large. There was some misinformation out in the community via social media that he was at large. Next one? Or is that it? All right. Thank you very much, and we'll take any questions right now.
Hi, Chief. Priya Mann from Channel 4. I guess let's start with so many violent incidents to talk about. I mean, we saw you at Hobnoble Gobble talking about the shooting at the campus tree, lighting shortly after that. Now we're talking about several other teenagers and young people being shot. What is your message? What are your thoughts when you're seeing so many different scenarios playing out here with young people either getting seriously injured or killed?
Yeah, you know, it's troubling to see so many young people come in contact with weapons. I saw a report a couple days ago, or maybe yesterday, that talked about how many guns have been purchased in the United States over the past few years, and there's close to a 50% increase in gun ownership. Well, if you don't have those guns responsibly, they fall into the wrong hands. When you've got a 15, 16-year-old out with weapons, nothing good can happen. The campus marches, tree lighting was a success. A ways from that, you have young people that get engaged in a shooting confrontation over some conflict that should not have resulted in that. And then you look at what's happened with the one kid who was shot, teenagers playing with guns at 5 in the morning. I mean, 5 in the morning, first of all. And, you know, adults need to take responsibility and ensure that if they have weapons, they're secured. And even if the kids brought the guns themselves, there still should be some form of parental supervision. So it's troubling.
What is your message? What do you want people to know about the resources that are being put out there in light of so many troubling shootings?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked ad nauseum about gun locks, and you know, yes, we have gun locks. Yes, we've delivered gun locks, and but what we need is better decision making. You know, nothing good can come when people are using guns to resolve relatively simple disputes. So now you have someone who has been killed, and in the case of the teenagers, you know, I mean, their lives are, obviously the decedent's life is over, but the kid who pulled the trigger's life is likely over. I mean, even if he doesn't do jail time, he's not going to recover from something like that emotionally. So, you know, we just need everyone to take this serious and be responsible, because it's a very dangerous situation. And, you know, we've got kids now that are engaging in social media beefs and resolving them with guns and ending their lives.
Last question, real quick. For the 3 teens that were shot leaving that Sweet 16 party, what are your thoughts when you hear something like that? I mean, they're shot across the street. They're leaving a Sweet 16 party. They're all kids. Can we get your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are that I'm concerned. I'm troubled by it, and you know, but these are cases that you can't police, right? I mean, people are having conflicts, and they're going to resolve conflicts with poor choices like weapons and shoot into groups, and I mean, it's awful. You know, we can do proactive measures, and we do that, but you have to do that constitutionally, right? You can't stop everybody to see if they have a weapon on them, and that would not be an ethical way to do policing, and we're not going to do that. But we also need businesses to say, hey, I'm going to have a whole bunch of people at one location. Maybe I need a metal detector. Maybe I can post signs that says no weapons. And then parents, right? I mean, parents have to be a part of the solution as well. We're going to do our part. We're going to be meeting with the business owner, making sure that they have the requisite licenses and things like that to have a business in our city. But that's not going to stop poor decision making. And we need people to proactively have the ability to resolve conflict without, you know, using a weapon, which essentially is you're making the ultimate decision because the person wouldn't hold the elevator door. So,
Thank you.
Hi, Chief White. Kim Russell from 7 Action News. Wondering what you can tell me about how these kids are that were shot at this party, anything about their conditions, and do you have any information about whether they were the intended target? When you see someone shooting at a party, so often we see innocent bystanders get shot. Is there any information about why they may have been targeted if they were?
yeah, they're working a number of different angles. You know, many of the kids, or none of the kids that we have interviewed thus far, attended Detroit Public Schools. They were from suburban schools. So we're looking to see if there was some type of conflict Our investigators are going to be reaching out to our suburban counterparts to see if they have a history of anything going on in the school, see if it's gang-related. We have our ceasefire team here that we will be engaging and running the names by them to see if there's any gang nexus to this conflict. But the case is wide open. We'll find out more. Our detectives are on the ground. They're really, really good at what they do. And I'm sure they're going to link it all together to see exactly what we're looking at. But right now, the case is wide open. Someone's going to talk. Someone's going to say something. Someone's going to mention something to someone. The vehicle and the perpetrators were across the street, specifically the perpetrators. Some question about the vehicle. Directly across the street from the incident. So someone had to see something. It wasn't that late. It was 10 o'clock at night. Beautiful evening, quite warm. So I'm sure someone drove by, someone saw something. We'll pull it together and figure it out.
We did see some surveillance cameras out on that building and on neighboring businesses. Is there surveillance video of the perpetrator's car?
Yeah, so there, our team pulls all video. You hear me say video assets all the time. We go out, those that we can get voluntarily from the business owners that want to cooperate, we get. Those that we have to get a search warrant on, we pull a search warrant. They're working that right now. The case is wide open. We're confident that we're going to be able to pull this case together.
Were there parents at the party, or was it just kids?
I don't know, but we will. That's one of the pieces that we will be looking at. And if they had if there weren't parents, that they have the appropriate number of chaperones for the number of kids that they had, what were the security provisions that they were using. So we're going to be looking at everything, and we won't hesitate to shut these businesses down. They come to our communities, make the money, and leave, and then they put our community at risk. We're not going to tolerate that. We will go in and we will shut those businesses down. We've done it in the past. We'll do it again. So if they don't have a license to be open, they won't be.
Was the party hosted by someone from the city of Detroit, or was everyone from the suburbs?
So you're asking all the questions that we ask in the investigation. Trust me, the investigators are going to have answers for all of those. And I'll certainly share those with you at the appropriate time. But right now, the goal of this is to let the community know it happened, because we had a lot of calls about it, that we don't have a random shooter out there. We're pretty locked in on the investigation, but it's so new that we're pulling pieces together. And there's some aspects of it that I know that I just can't talk about. But we'll pull it together, and we'll be talking about it soon. All right. Thank you, everyone.